Stand clear, Mr. Holmes, or be trodden underfoot. And possibly not only you. I perceive that you don't come much about Inspector Lestrade's life. Danger and destruction are part of his trade too, but what about Dr. Watson, who shared so many adventures with you? What about Mrs. Norton, the only woman you ever cared for?
I think that in the pleasure of this conversation, I'm neglecting business of importance, which awaits me elsewhere.
Well, it seems a pity, but I've done what I could. I know every move of your game. You can do nothing as long as I have Watson. It has been a duel between you and me, Mr. Holmes. You hope to place me in the dock. I tell you that I will never stand in the dock. You hope to beat me. I tell you that you will never beat me. If you think you can destroy me, then you can rest assured that I shall do as much to you.
My God, what a man.
He means every word he says, and he's got the means to do it.
Then Watson and Lestrade are in great danger.
Not yet, but they will soon be. We are in much bigger danger.
Why? What do you mean?
He wants me out of the way. The moment he leaves this building, he will signal his organization that the chase is up. He has on no place 500 pounds on my head. Every petty criminal will have a shot at me now. This is one of the reasons why I put on costumes.
What will you do and how can I help you?
You are not safe as long as you're with me. You must go away.
Never. You can't face this organization all alone.
Who says that I'm alone? Stay down, there might be another shot. I expected something like this.
What's that?
Police. I inspected Inspector Gregson about the imminent danger, and he placed several disguised constables around Baker Street. Moriarty's organization's already becoming smaller.
No, Holmes.
What?
I didn't mean what the whistles are. I understood that at once. What are your hands doing?
I beg your pardon?
Well, you should indeed. Well?
Scientific investigation. I'm increasing my physical knowledge.
Now that you say it, shouldn't we rather get active?
Absolutely.
Oh! As nice and unexpected as this may be now, I was thinking of Dr. Watson.
Oh. Yes. Indeed, I already have a plan. And with the help of Inspector Gregson, my brother Mycroft, and perhaps even you, I think we might be successful.
But?
It might all go wrong too. So carpe diem.
Oh, Holmes.
Watch out, I've just had a telegram. Evidently, the attack on Holmes in London has failed. I'll inform the professor. He must not be disturbed.
All right. We'll watch out.
Excuse me, my Baedeker tells me that this is more in manner, is that right?
So what?
It says it dates back to the 17th century and is of high architectural interest. Is that true? Can an innocent tourist visit it?
Most certainly not. This is private property.
Well, what a pity. I'm afraid I have to arrest you. Scotland Yard, give up, you're all under arrest.
Now, this is what I always waited for. Holmes, this is your dying hour. Die here. Now.
Kindly drop it or I shoot you.
Watson. I'm so glad that nothing has happened to you. I couldn't stand the idea of you getting hurt. I'm so glad.
Everything's all right. Marvelously done. I never doubted that the cavalry would arrive just in time. The strait's still in there, tied up like a royal mail parcel.
He will hate to learn that it wasn't him, but me who solved this case. I think we have them all now, Holmes.
I doubt it. By the way, thanks for the shot. His Majesty was right. It was certainly a dead shot.
This has finalized all the trouble with Moran. He will never again kill or abduct people.
But I bet Moriarty has escaped our friends from Scotland Yard.
Was that old man Moriarty? Was that old man Moriarty? I think that old man was Moriarty. I saw him. He was standing there and looking at me for a while without saying a word. Then he shook his head and went away, talking silently to Moran. He left through a back door and the noise started outside.
He's brilliant, of course, and this will not be the last we've seen of him, but he's not the only one who has escaped our friends, as you call them. There is still some harmless-looking fish to fry, and for this we need a very big rod, and we need to move on to Holdernesse Hall, where His Grace the Duke already awaits us for the denouement of the case.
Helen and Agnes, sir.
Good evening, Miss Riggs.
What does this mean? Did this impertinent Mr. Holmes order you here too?
He asked us to be here at this time, yes, Your Grace.
It is all right. Send for the tea, Wilder.
Yes, Your
It
Grace.
is not all right. This Mr. Holmes behaves as if he were the Duke and not you. This is your house, my dear.
I could have stopped him. He asked my permission first.
He asked your permission.
Yes. He can be very polite. And his influence in certain political circles must not be neglected if I want to return into office soon.
Do you even know what you have done?
I think so.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, Mrs. Norton, and several gentlemen from Scotland Yard, Your Grace.
Mr. Holmes, I'm glad to see you and your partner well and upright.
Thank you, Your Grace. I appreciate my situation very much.
I don't.
Well, you might not.
You are impertinent.
In your eyes, I must certainly seem impertinent. It must be most inconvenient for you that I'm still alive. Well, Colonel Moran is dead.
Colonel Moran is dead.
Good. One problem in the world less.
This is how I see it too.
Mr. Holmes, why are we all here?
I'm terribly sorry, Miss Riggs, weren't you told? We're here so that I can tell you what this whole case has been about, beginning long before Lady Margaret was kidnapped. But I believe some things are not for Lady Margaret's ears, so I'm sure that Miss Wilder will be all too happy to keep her company outside.
I agree. Please wait outside, my dear.
Yes, Papa.
I was not aware at first how dangerous this would be and how deep this would go. For some months I've been hunting a most dangerous individual who has been building up a highly effective underworld organization.
Professor Moriarty.
Right. I did not know at first that he was involved in the abduction of Lady Margaret, but the connection with Colonel Moran made it all too clear that his brilliant mind was behind this too.
Who is this, Professor? His name is not familiar to
How
me.
could it? Although his career has been an extraordinary one. He's a man of good birth and of excellent mathematical education. At the age of 21, he wrote a paper upon the binomial theorem. He was professor at one of our smaller universities and had a most brilliant career before him. But his mind turned to crime.
Do you know, I think I sat on one of his lectures when I was young and at university. That was when I decided that mathematics was not for me. He left university pretty fast.
He went to London, where he built up his organization. It was easy because our police was not as well organized then as it is now. Briefly, he worked as an art coach, and he was even once employed by the government with some technical tasks until it turned out that he was rather evil. He is a true Napoleon of crime, and the organizer of nearly all the crimes that go undetected in London. He sits like a spider in the center of its web. But he does little himself. He only plans, but his agents are numerous and splendidly organized. And they are still around tonight. And they are even in this room.
What is that, Holmes?
This is outrageous. How long do we have to suffer this insolence?
Not very much longer.
And what had Lady Margaret to do with it?
Lady Margaret, if you allow the chess metaphor, was an innocent pawn. The professor took her to be able to blackmail her father, who had evidently done something to annoy the professor. Isn't that so?
It seems so.
What it was, I only found out when I started my undercover investigations after I had left Charlton.
Which was, Mr. Holmes?
A lot of overpaid rubbish, I presume.
Not at all. Why is it that Deborah's register of the English nobility knows only a Christian name, Sylvia, and nothing else about you?
Does it matter?
Apparently it does. You are Professor Moriarty's only daughter. Is that not true?
I met her while traveling in the south of France after my first wife's untimely death. She seemed to be a lady from a noble background, orphaned. She had taken on the identity of Lady Sylvia V, orphan daughter of the late Duke of Dumfries. She was understanding and helpful, and I was an old idiot. Only when we returned to Holdernesse Hall, married and seemingly happy, it was revealed to me what her father and his organization expected of me.
You will be sorry for this. My father will destroy you all!
What did they expect of you?
Firstly, they wanted me to return into active politics, so that I could deliver information and influence.
First they blackmailed you with sex, I presume.
It is a shame, but it is true.
And when you refused, they threatened your child and kidnapped her.
Yes.
At this point, I should perhaps clear up the unhappy circumstances that led to the untimely death of Dr. Wagner. When Lady Margaret climbed out of her window and down the tree on Tuesday morning, Dr. Wagner saw it from his room's window. A look out of his window made that clear. He quickly put on the most necessary clothes and followed her.
What on earth for, and on a bike?
Because he's a teacher and she's a little girl from his school. He followed her to bring her back and hand her over to the house teacher. He was the only person awake who could do it. And he took his bike because she was several minutes ahead of him.
But he didn't catch up with her. Or do you want to say she...
Inspector! No, it was Miss Evans.
How do you know that it wasn't Lady Helen herself?
I didn't do it. I was in my bed at the time.
Quiet, girl!
No, the footprints near Dr. Wagner's body clearly proved that it was not Lady Helen. You should have examined the footprints at once. Your work was very lax this time, Lestrade.
I've learned my lesson, Mr. Holmes.
My theory is that Moriarty's next big coup was connected with Charlton Ladies' College.
How can you say anything so bizarre?
Very easily. Evidently, 2 of your new teachers have been his agents. They have been arrested at Moran Manor. Now, what advantage could an organization like his draw out of a place of learning for young English ladies?
I couldn't think of one. Or did he want to train his female agents there?
Close, my dear Watson, close. But these are deep waters.
Kidnap and blackmail other children from important families.
Too complicated. And it would only work once or twice. The parents would just cease to send their children to Charlton.
Now I'm beginning to see the light. What worked once might work again, and power lies in numbers.
Exactly.
I still don't get it.
Now, if we apply Mr. Holmes' methods correctly, we must eliminate the impossible, and whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
One of his favorites. I never got it.
We have Moriarty's daughter controlling the Duke. And we have 2 of Moriarty's agents as teachers at Charlton. They pick out promising young girls, not stupid riffraff.
They train them to stick together in the lacrosse team. They train them to dance and to fence.
I still don't see where the profit lies.
But Inspector, that's too obvious.
Is it?
Don't be depressed, Inspector. I'm also a bit slow.
I'm not slow.
These girls are soon presented at court and will take part in London season. The Duke and the Duchess of Holdernesse will take care that they land on the list